Hello, good afternoon, morning, evening. Once again, wherever you are in the world, great having you here. I can see there are already some people online. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for potentially listening or reading the invitation twice because I realized that the topic was wrong. There was still last week's topic somehow on the mail out, and today is the opposite of last week. Last week was all about compromise. This week is all about something we cannot compromise on, something that simply is there and that we have to accept. I'm just going to have a quick look at the comments. It's just so wonderful having you all here from London, from California, from elsewhere in England, from elsewhere in America, in Canada. It's just fabulous. I'm so pleased that you're all here. And today's topic is, of course, quite deep and profound and hugely important. Um, the Reiki Revolution is all about making our life more meaningful and by doing that, happier. But it's also about changing the world and making the world a better place. And quite simply put, the world is as it is. The world is in such a mess because of death. Without death, nothing would be the way it is. But death is very much part of the fabric of the setup of the universe, of the fleetingness and of the experiential nature. But most people, if not, to be honest, in a way, everybody is afraid of death. And because of this very fear, the world is as it is. The world is fear-based, not love-based. And when we live from love rather than fear, we also understand death in a different way. And I put uh, death and dying on the topic today because these are two aspects. One is, of course, the, what shall I say, experience of death, or basically the fact that there is death, our own or that of people around us. But there is also the process of dying, of letting go. And often, as Reiki practitioners, we find ourselves in the position of supporting or being asked to support people who are going through the period of leaving this life. So therefore, I thought we spend some time just kind of looking at death, at what death entails, the reasons of dying, and also how this deeper understanding then can lead to helping other people in this process of dying more. The key word to everything is fear. And hopefully today's episode will help to alleviate and to reduce uh, a lot of the fear we have surrounding death. I'm not sure if it is possible to be entirely free of fear, but surrounding death. But to start understanding it means we can live with the surrounding fear a bit better. So this is the idea for today. And then we are moving to an exercise I've never done before. But it was very interesting when I asked for the topic today. It was made very clear that this should be the topic. And it also was made quite clear that I should include this very, very novel exercise, which is a way of sensing a connection with loved ones who have passed away, who have gone beyond the point of death and are in spirit shape. Because, of course, as we all know, death is nothing else but a transition from the three-dimensional into the, well, I don't want to say fourth dimensional, higher dimensional, the spirit realm. And for me, this wasn't clear at all. I'm not sure when it was, maybe 20 years ago, little bit less. Um, there was always this kind of hope or idea that there must be something after death. But it was shaped through religious takes on that, and they often included a form of judgment. The idea that there is something beyond, but there is heaven or hell. Well, there's both, and there's basically a choice that where we end up. Also, the idea was that we may die and then possibly be dead, be in this state of being dead, whatever that is, for a while until we are kind of woken up again, resurrected, or something like that. Over the years, this has drastically changed for me, this understanding. And I'm sure I am meeting very much your understanding there, because my experience is that the more we work with Reiki, the more we use Reiki as a gateway to higher spiritual awareness, the more we understand that fact that Reiki, sorry, that death is basically just a transition. But for me, the most important turning point was when I went through this huge transitional phase in my life, my bankruptcy, which not only felt like almost dying because I had to leave everything behind. I couldn't really take much of my previous life with me, but it also brought me to the brink of choosing death, because I didn't quite know how to continue with life. And during that time, a friend took me, and this is in my second book, Proof of Reiki, Proof of Eternity, because that really was the beginning of this proof of eternity that I was so fortunate to experience in my life. Um, a friend invited me and paid for seeing a psychic medium. And I had no idea what a psychic medium was. But anyway, I had nothing else to do, so I went there. I went to this place in central London, and ended up in this tiny little box room, sitting opposite a really big guy. And he wasn't just big, he was very, very normal, the epitome of normal. So he had this funny south west accent from England, and he was just a really, really lovely guy. And as soon as I walked in there, he said, "Your family, your relatives, are, well, there are many teachers and there are many musicians." And that was interesting because as far as I can look back on my father's side, almost all people I am aware of over the last like 5 generations or 6 generations or so were either teachers or musicians. So that was interesting. And then he mentioned that they were present. And I thought, okay, that's really interesting. But he didn't just mention they were present, he described some of them. He described people who passed away. My lovely friend from when I was in my teens, an older lady who was a very, very good friend of mine. And I think she was the first to, or one of the first to come through. And he said, "There is this lady who feels like a relative, but she wasn't. And she wasn't a relative, but she felt very much like a grandmother or aunt." And he said she tells him to give proof of life after death, proof who she is, that she died in the same month she was born in. And indeed, she died. She was born on the 2nd of December, and she died just after Christmas. I think on the 27th or 28th or so of December, so in the same month. So this is the kind of proof we can get from a medium, and this is the idea that they open us up to the possibility that life goes on after death. And this started my huge interest in this subject. I read several books about near-death experiences where people were physically, clinically dead for a period, and then they returned back, sometimes after a few minutes, sometimes after like 15 minutes or even half an hour. And they normally say very much the same, that they felt welcomed into a different world. They felt love, warmth, and belonging. They felt this is where I really need to be. And sometimes they felt very odd being back in this life. But of course, it profoundly changed them, because one thing everybody agreed on, and there have been tens of thousands of case studies on past life, no, on near-death experiences now. Um, they all agree on this huge transition they went through from fear of death to accepting death is just a gateway. It's a gateway to a different level of existence. And even though we may come back, and we do come back, in different ways and forms. I'm just looking at something here. There's one lady saying she can't hear anything at present, but I haven't heard that from anybody else. Can I just check? Can somebody just wave or just do a quick nod? Yes, Janet can hear it. That's lovely. Marvelous. Good. Very pleased. Not much sense in talking if nobody can hear me. But that's the point. We'll go a little bit deeper in a moment, understanding that we can also hear people from the other side. But for now, the people who went through a near-death experience, they all agree that they are not afraid of death anymore, and that they move on. So they are still identifying with their being, but not with their body anymore. They feel like leaving behind the body. Sometimes it feel they are floating above their body. Some say they could see the situation they were in. They could see the injuries, the illness, the cause of causing this death experience for them. But then they didn't feel pain, and they still identified with being a person. They also all agree that they were looking back at their lives, and they were making more sense of all the weird, seemingly unconnected experiences they were going through during their lifetime, and they saw the bigger picture. They saw the thread going through all these experiences. And they then returned to their bodies, but they left their fear. But of course, when people don't go back into their bodies, they move on. And the interesting is, often we can feel a certain presence for a while. And this is something that I've heard from quite a few people. So people who pass away, they often hang around for a few hours or even days, or sometimes even weeks. And we feel them appearing in our sleep. We feel them being close to us in our bedroom. It is their decision whether to hang around for longer. Sometimes they find it difficult letting go of this experience of life, and they still want to be involved, even though they realize they can't really be very actively involved because they are not in physical shape anymore. But yes, thank you, Janet, for mentioning that. Anita Mojani describes this near-death experience in her book Dying to Be Me, and that's just a fascinating experience where she was told that she was not ready to die, and she could let go of the illness, and she could come back. So there's just some fascinating experiences. And so we have access to all these stories, and some of you may even have had a similar experience yourself in your lifetime or through loved ones. But of course, a lot of people do die. They do not come back into their body. And to let go of these people is very, very difficult. Often we say things like the person has passed away too early or at their prime. And even though somebody may be very, very old, they may have been suffering for a long time. Indeed, we may feel it's the best for them to let go of the suffering and to make this transition. We still feel a void. The physical person next to us, the person we can chat to, the person we can uh, get on the phone and just get some advice from. All this is something we suddenly miss. And just as I'm doing at the moment, you may think back of times, and I'm looking at the comments at the moment, and I see that yeah, some people are here because they are remembering what they have gone through when they had to let go of people who were very prominently in their lives, and they were fortunate to spend some time with. Some people die very, very young, and it's almost impossible to get over that. And I don't want to airbrush that. When somebody is taken out of our lives through an accident or through a sudden illness, or even a long illness, but something where we feel we just so wish to have spent more time with that person, it's very, very difficult. And for me, the only way to deal with this is to understand, and not to understand intellectually, but understand and know in our hearts that this person is not gone. They're right beside us. They are there. They can support us. And they want us to live and to be happy. Nothing is gained from unhappiness. If anything, we make them more unhappy as well. So there is some interesting background noise. I hope it's not not too difficult. I have now figured out that it's gardeners coming at this time of the day. So my apologies. I thought they would come once a month, but they seem to be coming weekly. So I have to find another space to do the show in the future. But it is also kind of lightening things up a little bit, because it's a very deep, and it's a very difficult subject for many of us, and it just takes us straight back to the people we miss so far. But when I was sitting with this medium and I got this evidence that people were there, it changed everything for me. It just changed absolutely everything. There was an uncle, a distant uncle, coming through, and the medium said that he was holding his hands on his chest, showing that this was the cause of death. And he said, I feel he is pointing to his lungs. And indeed, my uncle had a long-standing lung condition, and he passed away because of that. But what really shocked me when this medium said, there is this guy, I hear a name called Alfred or something like that. And this uncle was called Alfred. So you can get names. And these people want to get in touch. Of course, there's so much more to them. They're not just Alfred. They know that they have been Alfred in the most recent life, but and they project themselves, an image, an idea of themselves down to us on this uh, three-dimensional physical level so that we know who it is, but we are talking to their summary. We are talking to their wisdom, because what they are is also all the previous lifetimes they had. So all this, what we call subconscious, when all the information is stored, or the soul, is much more easily accessible, and this is what they are. So this is why they can guide us. But there are also different levels on this fourth dimension, and that's something that my guides told me during the work on my last book. There is a way to be very close to this realm, to the three-dimensional, and be very close to the people here. It's almost as if you are stuck for a while. You don't really want to let go, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But it means that they feel very strongly still connected and try to reach out and make themselves known. And sometimes we may get a smell, we may get a deja vu that reminds us of being close with these people. And that's something that they seem to be able to arrange for us. So to make us aware they are around us. Sometimes we may even get a message, we may get an idea from them. But we can also get that from higher levels where people work on digesting the experience of the recent life and prepare for the next lifetimes. Indeed, what I hear is that people often wait there for family members, friends, people from their soul families to introduce them, to welcome them back into the spirit world and explain more about this weird experience of suddenly not being in a body anymore, being multidimensional, being able to be in different places at the same time, which is something that even on the three-dimensional level can be proven through quantum physics. So the laws of quantum physics seem to apply on that level as well. And it's just fascinating to hear all these things and to know that we are welcome back. And I remember years ago that one other psychic medium mentioned my grandmother from my mother's side, and that she was welcoming the dogs that we had into the spirit world. And the interesting thing is, which of course that psychic medium couldn't know at all, that my grandmother was the only person in the entire wider family who actually had dogs when she was on the three-dimensional plane. So this is just fascinating. So dogs are there as well. And to understand that um, gave me a very different take on dogs, on animals, on accepting and respecting them into our lives, communicating with them, but also accepting that they have lives of their own. And when they come back, when they they incarnate into a dog family, into a family of, I don't know what, of lions, of ants, of fish, of birds, and they have connections with each other. So we often just kind of uh, see this, feel this connection from our side, but they have this interconnectedness and their lives and their experiences. So it's all about experience. And who are we to judge an experience? Indeed, that was an interesting question that came up when I learned the system of Reiki. Oh, indeed, my mum learned the system of Reiki first. And she was quite puzzled, a little bit taken aback, learning that the founder of Reiki, just 5 years after he found the system, he founded the system, passed away. And he was only 60 years old. Given that the Japanese constantly top the ranking worldwide of the oldest people in the world. This was quite something. And I did learn later on that apparently he didn't have a particularly healthy lifestyle. But of course, one could argue that Reiki works on this and helps with that as well. But what did he achieve in his life? What indeed did he achieve over many lifetimes to be so advanced that he could be open to bring the system of Reiki into the world, to channel these different vibrational levels, to create the Reiki symbols so that we can use them as shortcuts, uh, w- understanding, finding out, connecting with the different levels on which Reiki works. So this is quite something. So I mean, if anybody had really achieved something extraordinary, something lasting, a legacy now lasting 100 years and going stronger and stronger, then it is Mikao Usui. And of course, so many people feel him present in Reiki teaching and Reiki courses in everyday life. I had this privilege of talking to him when I was in Japan, and I saw him in the spirit shape, and he explained more about my life and about Reiki and about the future, and made it quite clear that Reiki is really a system that goes far beyond just being a complementary therapy, but a system that actually can change the world. And this is taking it into the next century and using it as a lifestyle. It was just extraordinary. So, um, of course, he died. What? But the legacy he left and the connectedness he still has with this legacy is incredible. So, knowing for sure through experiences like this that life goes on after death is the key to overcoming being afraid of death. And to also overcoming losing people, because even though they're not there in the physical shape and right now, they are still there in spirit shape. And I don't want to minimize the pain. The pain is huge, letting go of somebody, and even the thought of it is outrageously awful. But knowing that there is something beyond helps us on the way. Also, dealing with our own fear of death. Even though it is difficult, Reiki helps. And the experience, the knowledge that life goes on helps tremendously. And when we let go of this fear, we can tackle life in a different way. And we can support people who are so afraid. If we know there is more beyond, if we know we come back, if we understand the idea of reincarnation, we understand life in a different way. One lifetime we are incarnated in America, one lifetime in Germany, one lifetime in Japan, one lifetime in Russia, one lifetime in Ukraine. So, where are the differences? Where are the boundaries? Who are we really? Once we understand this, we look at life in a very, very different way, and we can bridge these gaps that we feel. We can bridge the divides. But we really, really need to take that, bring that into our everyday life. And once we understand that life goes on, we understand that life is, or physical incarnation is a lesson, not just in order to learn something, but it is an experience. And there are positive and there are difficult experiences. And I strongly believe that over time, we can go beyond the difficult experiences. But letting go of life is a difficult experience, and witnessing somebody letting go of their lives is a difficult experience as well. What can we do with Reiki? Of course, we are trying to help. We are trying to reduce the pain. We are trying to reduce the stress, the anxiety. We manage symptoms, palliative care. But we also know that this person is going to pass away at some stage. And there may be chances, there have been experiences where things have been turned around and the person could continue living for a while or even a long time. But at some stage, everybody will pass away. So, knowing that this is inevitable, we need to make this time that we spend with this person or for the person who is letting go of their life, of their body, positive and pleasant. And I think it's really important to make jokes. This is my big experience. To have fun, to don't take things too seriously, even though it feels very, very serious. But no, it's not the end of everything. It's just the end of that lifetime, of that experience. And we can still have a laugh. We can still have some fun. But we also need to allow the other person to go. And this was my biggest personal experience when I understood that we need to allow the other person to go, that they don't feel this responsibility to cling on to that life. So once we in our hearts feel this person is eternal, this is an eternal soul moving from one experience into another, and we just hold this in our hearts, we connect to Reiki and we ask Reiki to help us to hold this knowledge in our heart, then everything we are doing is natural and is easing their pain, is helpful, is healing. And I think this is all we really need to do. Hold the complete knowledge in our being, in our hearts, in our energy fields, so that the other person can feel our calm, our trust, our knowledge, our peace, our love. And through this, they can experience the eternal peace and the eternal love. This is also what we do when we give Reiki to somebody who is dying. They feel the love that's all around, the love in this world, the love on the other side, the love in the universe, the interconnectedness. So they can just feel this. And this, for me, is the greatest gift that we have in Reiki when somebody is passing away. We hold the space for them so that they can make their peace, they can let go, knowing that everything is just an experience. In other words, the default of the universe is forgiveness. It's built into the universe. This is the big fear at the end of life, that we have created karma, we've created something negative, and we now need to make up for that. We need to experience that in another way or shape, which is indeed what I'm going to write in my next project about, because it's very, very important to overcome this understanding and overcome this fear and realize, even though karma is energy theory, and yes, there is something that is accumulated and that can be uncreated, we can do that in an instant with love. And we do not have to suffer. It is a choice that we make. And once we go beyond that, when we say, no, I am love and I do not have to suffer, we can overcome everything. And there are ways to work on that and ways we can feel this in this life. We need to be fully integrated. And Reiki is a way to this full integration. And I'm saying that because it's basically coming at the moment. And this is the new project I'm working on. And it's very much already in the Reiki Science program, the idea that we can find this integration in our heart when we accept to be fully everything: body, spirit, and oneness. with everything. We need to allow this to merge, and then we can heal people even more strongly, and we can just sit next to them, and with our presence we can heal, and we can help people more to make this transition. But I think what is very, very important on this path is to say hi from time to time to dead in the spirit world, to our neighbor in the spirit world, to dogs in the spirit world, to or cats or cows or whatever you're connected to beings, spirits, beings we have loved in our lifetimes, who have moved on, to realize they are still there, and to stay in this connection and to just feel their love. And I find that Reiki is a great help on creating, or on opening this doorway so that we can find this connection again. So often people feedback after a Reiki treatment. People who are not, I would say, very spiritual at all, they just have a Reiki treatment and they feel the presence of a loved one very strongly during that treatment. They may call it a memory, they may call it, they just feel the love of that person, or they even get a message or have a fully blown conversation with a person in the spirit world. So this is basically, it's a hallmark of Reiki, and we can utilize that for ourselves as well. And this is what I would like to do now for a moment, to connect with somebody. It's something I have not done before, so I'm just following what's coming in. Um, but you can also set your own intention. You can either set your intention to connect with a loved one you've lost in a physical capacity, recently or a very, very long time ago. Somebody close to you or somebody not very close to you, but somehow you felt there was a connection. Or you can simply ask Reiki to help you open up so that the person, or indeed the people who want to come through, can, so that you can feel their presence. So it's up to you whether you want to go for a particular person, or you want to just be open or- and just see what comes through. And the experiences may be very different from person to person. So I would absolutely love, indeed, I would, if I may take that liberty, I would ask you to send me an email afterwards and tell me about your experiences. It would be great if I could put that into a blog, into into a piece of writing that we can put on the internet, that we can use to motivate more people, to inspire more people on this journey of realization that life does not end with death, and that we have not lost our loved ones, not even, not forever, but not, we haven't lost them at all. Of course, everything will be anonymized. So I will, and if it's a particular situation, please let me know if I can use it this way, or if you want me to kind of change things a little bit. But I would be very, very grateful if you could share your experiences. So when you're ready, I would like to ask you to just gently close your eyes and bring your hands together in Gasho, just palms together, lightly touching in front of your heart chakra. And set your intention to connect to Reiki. Just feel your connection to Reiki, to the universe. And then when you're ready, ask Reiki. Ask Reiki to either help you now feel a connection with a particular person, you can name them, who has passed away, or ask Reiki to just help you feel a presence, feel a connection with whoever in the spirit world wants to come through to you. And then gently open your hands. Just open them with the palms facing up. And in this space of openness, just stay there, listen inside. It may just be a feeling, it may be an image, it may be an idea, maybe a message, it may be some kind of proof coming through. Just allow ideas to come in. Don't force anything. You can focus on your breathing, so not to be distracted by any thoughts. You can deepen this state of connection by using the harmony symbol to open up more, and the connection symbol to feel a deeper connection. Just ask, is there anything else that you need to know? Just see what comes into your mind. And then bring your hands back together and just thank Reiki and come back into the here and now. So you may find that this exercise helps more in the future to just feel a presence of somebody, to get an idea, to feel more connected to the loved ones who've passed away, and to have more trust that life does not end with death, that it's a mere transition. And with these, oh, that was very, very profound. For me, it was really interesting. I actually had a conversation which was fascinating, and a lot of lots of things came together. So that it was amazing. Sometimes wonder whether I should just do these things for myself. But it's wonderful to share all these things. But uh, I am gaining so much from these shows. It's pretty unbelievable, and I never thought this was going to be that way. I'm always kind of I'm not dreading it, but it is something that I I have to do, to turn up at a certain stage, to look reasonably okay. to to get myself ready, to wire everything up, to make sure it all works, and send out reminders, and ask for guidance on the topics and so on. And yet, after every show, I just realized this is extraordinary, to have this wonderful connection and to get this inspiration, to get the help and healing also from each other and the feedback. So I'd be very, very grateful if you would take the time to send me an email with just a quick um, uh, outline of the experience you have had. It also helps me to shape this more, to shape this further, and to use this in future workshops. I think really this is where the future of Reiki goes, to open this up much more widely and to just use Reiki as a tool to experience more things, to open our horizons, and to find more meaning in our everyday lives. So thank you for joining, and let's now. Oh yes, thank you very much. um, the email address to send it to. So either you reply to any of the emails that I send out as a reminder, or you send it. Let me just see. Now it's shaking a little bit because I'm. See. So that's the email address, torsten@thereikirevolution.com. If you just want to send it there, or to any of the other email addresses, I've got so many now, just replying to the emails. If you get it through the online wing of the Reiki Academy, it's probably support at thereikiacademy.com, or if you go through the London side, then it's Torsten or info at reikiscienceacademy.com, or even at reikiacademylondon.com. So there are various emails you can use. They all reach me, but that is the one I'm primarily using right now, Torsten at thereikirevolution.com. So thank you very, very much for joining. And let's now spend the last few minutes just supporting each other through a Reiki share. So once more, connect to Reiki. And once you feel the connection, you can just use your intention, or you use the connection symbol to connect with everybody on this Reiki share, everybody who is live here and everybody who will be joining at a replay. Just feel the connection and feel that you are now receiving Reiki through everybody very powerfully to help making sense of the experience you just had, to help let this sink in, register, to bring more trust and confidence into your life. And of course, to help with healing. And then you can slowly bring your hands back together. Think Reiki once more and come back into the here and now. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing, for making this such a powerful event. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. That's the weird thing. I never quite know exactly what's coming through, what's happening in these shows. So I can't really um, give too detailed an overview of what's happening. But it's just absolutely wonderful to really, really feel the connection with everybody and to just see how this is all, it's so elevating our vibrational levels. So wishing you a very happy, well, whatever is going on, Easter, Passover, every religious or other celebrations that are going on anywhere in the world. Have a wonderful week and weekend, and we're back on Tuesday. So I'll see you then. Thank you so much for joining, and please do make sure to send me an email with your experiences. And once more, I just have to find the button to say goodbye.